Good morning, students. This is the second video of anatomy of flowering plant. And in this video, we will discuss about the tissue system in plants. Tissue system in plants. Now, based on location and structure, the tissue system in plants is of three types. The epidermal tissue, the ground tissue, which is also called fundamental tissue, and the vascular tissue, which is also called conducting tissue. So the epidermal tissue includes the epidermis. The ground tissue includes cortex, pith, pericycle, and the vascular tissue includes xylem and phloem. Now let us discuss in detail about all the three types of tissues. So let us first discuss about the epidermal tissue. The epidermal tissue forms the outermost covering of the plant. It forms the outermost covering of the plant. It comprises of three types of tissues. First is the epidermal cells. Second is the stomata. And third is the epidermal appendages. Which includes trichome and root hairs. So let us discuss in detail about all the three components of the epidermal tissue. So first of all, epidermal tissue forms the outermost covering of the plant, and it consists of three tissues, that is the epidermal cells, stomata, and the epidermal appendages. Now let us talk about the epidermis, which is written here as epidermal cells. Epidermis is a single layer. It is a single layer made up of parenchymatous cells which forms outermost covering of the plant. So epidermis, it is a single layer, it is made up of parenchymatous cell, and it forms the outermost covering of the plant. If this is a layer of epidermis, sometime on this layer, outside this layer, there is a presence of a waxy layer. Outside the epidermis, sometime there is presence of a waxy layer. This waxy layer is of cuticle, and it prevents the water loss. This type of cuticle, which lies over the epidermis, is present in xerophytes, means the plants which live in desert condition, because they need to prevent the water loss, because in deserts already water is very less. So they have a outermost waxy covering called cuticle to prevent the water loss. Now let us talk about the second component, that is stomata. Stomata are the structures which are present in the epidermis of the leaf. Stomata, they are small pores present in the epidermis of the leaf. Let us draw the structure of stomata and understand it in detail. A stomata is guarded by two cells which are known as guard cells. Here I am drawing the structure of stomata. So there are two cells which are present, which are kidney shaped in dicots and and dumbbell shaped in monocots. So these are the two guard cells. So these are the guard cells. And center this opening is known as stomata. Surrounding the guard cells are the epidermal cells. Let us draw the epidermal cells. These all are epidermal cells. These are the epidermal cells which surround the guard cells. So stomata is a pore which is present between the two guard cell. So guard cell control opening and closing of stomata. Sometimes some epidermal cells near the guard cell, they become specialized, which I am drawing in purple color here. See, I am drawing this, I am making it dark with the purple color. Some cells surrounding the guard cell, they have become specialized. So these cells have become specialized and these cells have become specialized. The epidermal cells which have become specialized in shape and size, these cells are known as subsidiary cells. So these cells are known as subsidiary cells. You should remember that stomata plus guard cell plus subsidiary cell forms the stomatal apparatus. So this was about the stomata. Now let us talk about the epidermal appendages. Epidermal appendages are of two types, as I've already told: root hair and trichomes. Root hair are unicellular, whereas trichomes are multicellular structures. Root hair are epidermal elongations of cell, epidermal elongation of cells present in the root, which are unicellular, as I have already told you, and they help in absorption of water and mineral from the soil. Absorption of water and mineral from the soil. Whereas trichomes, as we have already told, these are multicellular and they are epidermal elongation of cell of the stem. Epidermal elongation of cell of the stem. So root hairs are epidermal elongation of cells of root, whereas trichomes are epidermal elongation of stem of the stem. The function of trichome is to prevent loss of water during transpiration. So it prevents the loss of water during transpiration. So from the stem. So epidermal elongation of the root is known as root hair, whereas epidermal elongation of the stem is known as trichome. Root hair help in absorption of water and mineral from the soil, and trichome, it helps to prevent loss of water during transpiration. Now let us talk about the ground tissue. Ground tissue is the tissue except the epidermal tissue and the vascular tissue. So all tissue except the ground tissue, except the vascular tissue and epidermal tissue is the ground tissue. So all tissue, if we exclude the vascular tissue, that is xylem and phloem, and we exclude the epidermal tissue, that is epidermis, comprises the ground tissue. It is made up of simple tissue, which are simple permanent tissue. It is made up of simple permanent tissue like the parenchyma, collenchyma and the sclerenchyma. Parenchyma cells are present in cortex. These parenchyma cells are present in cortex. They are present in pericycle. They are present in pith and they are present in medullary rays. So first of all, we have discussed ground tissue is all the tissue excluding the epidermal tissue and the vascular tissue. It is made up of simple permanent cells like parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. In the leaves, the ground tissue consists of chloroplast containing cells called mesophyll. Chloroplast containing cells which are known as mesophyll cells. So this was about the ground tissue. Now let us talk about the vascular tissue. Vascular tissue are xylem and phloem. Now based on presence or absence of cambium, vascular tissue is of two types, open type and closed type. In open type of vascular tissue, cambium is present between xylem and phloem. Whereas in closed type of vascular tissue, cambium is absent between xylem and phloem. Let us draw the diagram. So if this is phloem and this is xylem, this is phloem and this is xylem, then here would be present a cambium. This is the cambium. So this is because cambium is present between the xylem and phloem. This is open type of vascular tissue. Whereas if this is the phloem and this is the xylem, and this is the phloem, since cambium is absent here between the xylem and phloem, this is a closed type of vascular tissue. Now let us look at the classification of vascular bundles on basis of arrangement of xylem and phloem. So we are classifying vascular bundles on basis of arrangement of xylem and phloem. On basis of arrangement of xylem and phloem, vascular bundles are of two types: radial and conjoint. Let us talk about both. In radial type of vascular arrangement, xylem and phloem are arranged in alternate manner on different radii, and such type of arrangement is seen in roots. Let us understand this with the help of diagram. So if this is a cross section, then xylem and phloem would be arranged on different radii. This is, I'm making xylem and phloem. So this would be the phloem and this would be the xylem. You can see the xylem and phloem are arranged in different radii. Phloem is on the different radii, whereas xylem, which I have drawn in purple, is in the different radii. Now let us look at the conjoint vascular bundle. In conjoint vascular bundle, xylem and phloem are arranged in same radii. Let us draw this. Now, for example, if this is the phloem and this is the xylem, so you can see xylem and phloem are in the same radii. So this is the example of conjoint vascular bundle, and it is closed also because there is no cambium which is present between xylem and phloem. I hope you would have learned something from this video. If you have gained something, do subscribe to my channel Ramji Chopra for more videos like this. And we'll continue the chapter in the next video.